I've been thinking about, I don't know, what is this called? These storyteller tactics. These, there's a lot of sun still coming. If you see it, you probably see them all over, I don't know, social media. But one of them that I was working on specifically for a workshop I'm doing is called Storyish Conversations. And let me just give you really quickly, and then I'm going to have to rewind and dig deeper into these things. But I want to give you an idea of what's happening here. So they have these cards, and there's like an algorithm. It's like story building system. Do you know why you need a story? If you say no, then there's a whole category of cards called concept, where you will build out the concept. Keep keep that in mind. Do you know where? And now, if yes, do you know where to find the story? You need a story. Do you know where to find it? No. There's an explorer set of explore cards that help you do a thought exercise. Do you know your role in the story? Then you go to character development if you don't. If you do, then you think about, well, what does my story need to do? And you go to a function card. And then do you know how to plan your story? No, there's structure cards. Yes. Do you know how to tell the story? There's style cards. If you say, yes, I do know how to style it. Do you know how to share your story? And there's organized cards. And then within those categories, there are all these different types of things like the concept, explore, character, function, structure, style, organize, recipe. And I've made piles of those. And that's how I think about it. So if I just pick a function card, so I picked a function card because we know we have to tell a story, but we don't really know what it's supposed to do. So I like these storyish conversations because they begin with, you don't need PowerPoint to tell a story. You need conversations. And that's something we all have at our fingertips, conversations, especially if we're in an office or a working environment or we collaborate, we're speaking to someone. And that's what's so interesting about these. So when you're having a conversation, think about stories. I tend to do, I don't know if it's because of New Jersey, stories are just how most of us tend to communicate. You want to be the most storyish person in the room, especially if you're speaking to a group. Nobody wants to be speaking from the podium and then have someone tell the best story of the day from the audience. It's encouraged to have the feedback. You want to have these vivid moments planned. So in order to do that, I'm just going to give you a quick little rundown here, and we'll go deeper into these in shorter, smaller videos. But you need to find those moments. How would you do that? There's a movie time card. The movie time cards would tell you, and it also tells you, you can answer questions like, where are we? What's happening? Who's involved? And then you can figure it out. What's changed? What have you learned? That moment, the friction that I tell you about. If you're just listing information and that's not a story, you need the, but this happened, or however, or therefore, or those sorts of things make the story pivot and put a friction in there. So you have to think about that. Think about like it's a movie you're making. And so that's movie time. And briefly, if it's still vague and you're not really getting it, there's a story listening card. And I use all of these all the time. Even if I think I have a great idea and here it comes, I still want to think and uncover and change things that could be better. So you listen to other people's stories. A lot of us in conversation can't wait to say the next thing. But if you want to be an innovator, you need to be a listener. I listen to stories and I sort of catalog them and keep them and I put them in a little notebook. You never know when that line of thinking or story. There's a famous movie producer, Brian Kolperman. He does this funny little thing on Instagram where he's walking down the street or he's in a restaurant and he overhears really snippets of conversation. And then he'll talk to you on Instagram. Oh, wow, that story would go in a scene like tomorrow. It's so good. And you learn to listen to these little funny snippets of story. So they're saying, is it something memorable? Usually if it sticks in your head, it is something memorable. And you create like a timeline. What are you trying to achieve? What happened? Are you starting at the end, moving back to the beginning, in the middle? And key decisions to the timeline. What options did you have as the situation unfolded? Like you could always say, This thing happened. Here were my choices. Here's what I did. You're putting a story together and identify the expertise. Like what might a senior person done differently than a novice? So already we're building story. Emotional dashboard is a good one when you need an emotion in the middle of a story. You need to make someone care about something or add the action. So they're like some kind of flashing red light, something that says, look here, not there. And you think about, they give you a list of emotions you may have felt while you were working on a certain project. Did you feel pride, dread, conviction? It's sometimes all in the same 5 minutes. And then they guide you through building that and bringing it into a story. And there's just two quick ones. I just want to give you enough information where you can get started. And then you can show how your work helps people with life's battles. Hollywood loves the great fight, right? This is that hero's journey. Hero against nature, hero against society, hero against self. Maybe you're the hero, maybe the client's the hero, maybe what it is you're trying to bring to them is the hero. So they teach you how to do self, society, and nature. These simple exercises. I know they may sound a little ethereal, but once you start working with them, they become familiar. And the final is the 5 T's. This is usually the simplest. If you're having a hard time launching with any of these, you can do the 5 T's where when you're building out a story, they're like the timeline, right? Beginning, middle, end, turning points. Where was that pivot, that friction I keep talking about? Where's the tension, right? We have to be able to hold the tension. Something we thought is now challenged, or we come across a revelation with our data, blah, blah, blah. You get the idea. Temptations. Is there an easy way out? Were you tempted to take a shortcut or maybe not bring all the data to the problem that you should? Maybe only bringing data that's easily accessible, low hanging fruit. And then teachable moments, the moral of your story. What are you teaching people? What did you learn in the journey? What did you hope to learn? Was there a difference between the two? So this is just an introduction because I see people talking about these storyteller tactics all the time, how they changed their life. They won $5 million contracts, but nobody ever breaks it down into how it works. And that's what I want to begin doing here.